theme. This is honestly like a therapy session with me. I just get to talk about what I've learned or what I have not learned on a daily basis. But all for my newcomers maybe entering the community, I want you guys to play a game real quick. I want you to go ahead. Put it in the comment section. What's good with you, Cheeto? Throw it in the comment section. Let me know how you're feeling from 1 to 10. 10 means I'm feeling on top of the world, and 1 means I'm feeling underneath it. So before I even get this show started, I need to know how you're feeling. Let's get that comment section going. Let's have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? That's really the goal. That's the goal all the time. The goal all the time is really just to create this community where we all can learn through me. I try to make it real simple because I think I'm one of those people who I embrace running into the sides. I embrace falling over publicly and then bringing myself back up. I embrace talking about taboo topics. I embrace anything and everything because I just love to run my mouth. Come on, Shay, you at a 6? Come on, man. I can't have you at a 6, brother. We got to get you up. We got to get you up, brother. You are far too optimistic, and the snowmobile, but we'll talk about that conversation later. You do too well for you to be on a 6. Come on, we got to raise you up. Cheeto 10, what's good? You know I got to recognize you, man. Come on, man. You are part of my story. You're part of my entire, everything I got going on here, man. You're one of the people, honestly, I'm not sure if anybody knows in the community, I used to record my runs on a daily basis. I used to go on live and just run, right? And to be honest with you, I never thought anybody paid attention to me. I just thought it was just something that I just did for myself to kind of prove to myself that I will continue to do it. But all in all, I ended up just recording it, and people from other communities started recognizing me. And Cheeto's one of those people. He started recording. He just started recording. He said, I saw you on the side of the street. I saw you running. And then ever since then, man, I was just like, how many other people recognize me and don't say anything, you know? That's really it. I just want to be able to, like I'm saying, I try to live through my errors publicly so you guys can see them just as much as I can. But listen, today's show, I'm pretty sure you guys can see the title. Let me make sure I'm all even, all straightened out. Let me move that over a little bit. I'm pretty sure you guys can see the title. Today's episode, you're in for a good one because you know why? We talking about some taboo topics. Talking about this little thing better known as drugs. It's really weird, y'all. It's really weird. Now, like I'm saying, but what's up, Audrey? You know I gotta acknowledge you anytime you hop up in the chat. Listen, but before I jump into drugs, as crazy as that sounds, I want to talk about this new, like you guys very well know, my health craze, my weight craze. You guys know I've been being very conscious of what I eat, how I eat, you know, how much I consume, what I consume. And the one thing I've actually increased over the past couple weeks, I've increased my water intake like crazy, you guys. I've been trying to drink like a gallon of water a day. And I kid you not, you really feel it. I never thought that pissing so much can be such an inconvenience. I can't even tell y'all, before I even got this live started, I had to use the bathroom about 3 times. And to me, that's wild. That's absolutely wild. I would not, I can't imagine what my wife was going through when she was pregnant, because I was like, baby, how come you always got to use the bathroom? What's going on with you? And I thought the problem was on her behalf. I was like, I thought there was something special about her, but comes to find out, having to use the bathroom all the time has to be one of the most annoying things ever. I don't know. And the upside to this is that my kidneys are all cleaned out. My body is cleaned out. I don't find myself consuming junk food because I'm filled up with water. But on the other side, I'm like, man, every time I see a stall, I got to go use it. It's absolutely wild. But that actually says a lot about, this actually says a lot about, we can kind of say that my activity within stalls has changed over the years. I'm happy right now. I'm just getting rid of the water that I consumed earlier. But back in the day, my relationship with stalls were a little bit different. Hold on, this might be interesting. Hold on. I'm going to take this call. You guys. We're going to do this together live on the air before I take this episode. Hey, Mom, I'm going to let you know you are live on the air at the Mohammed Cook Show.
Hi, everyone.
They can hear you loud and proud. What's going on with you, Mama?
Oh, darling, I was just checking in with you, sweetheart, to make sure you guys are okay, tell you I love you, and just to make sure everybody was all right. I was trying to see my little honey, but you're not at home.
I'm not at home.
Live.
I am, and you are too. Your voice is, at least. Your voice is live at the moment.
Okay, well, you go continue to have fun.
I will, and then I will call you, or Ablo will give you a call as soon as I get home.
All right,
All right,
bye.
love you. Oh, sorry. I have a habit. You guys, of hanging up on my mom before. I like to just say I love you to her. I don't really wait for the response. But yeah, that's my mom, everybody. That's my mom just tapping in real quick. I always wanted to do that. I love getting phone calls because when the phone calls happen, I want to bring you guys into my life, and that is my mother. 1,000. I'm so happy that's recorded. Oh my gosh, thank you. These moments. This is why I do this. Horrible transition, but let's just say my activity from stalls has dramatically changed over the years. You see, now, like I said before, I'm in stalls to wash my kidneys out, to clean out my body, to get all the toxins out of my system. But at one point, I used to be going in stalls to do the complete opposite, y'all. I used to be on a different type of time. You see, one of my students actually today, he came to me and he said, Mr. Mo, what's the safest drug to do? Now, personally, I almost thought, how do I answer this question? I asked myself, how do I answer this question? Because I can be honest, and I know he's coming to me from the bottom of his heart, and he's really trying to ask me a question as a friend, but at the same time, I'm a mandated reporter, so I have to be very selective about how I give advice to certain students. And then I said, it's really crazy that you asked me this question, but I'm legit going to be having an entire show talking about drugs. My entire show, my entire live today is going to be talking about, and like I said, not only just what they are and what they do, but literally my relationship with them. So how I kind of answered his entire question, how I literally, I'll tell you, say what's up. How I literally broke it down to him, I said, hey, bro, here's the thing. I'm going to be honest with you. There's really no such thing as a safe drug per se because it's not it's not FDA recorded. You can't really sue anybody. You know, you think about people like Mac Miller, who's literally a celebrity. He got by some fentanyl. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of broke it down to him by saying, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I am going to tell you, leave it alone for one reason. You don't know if you're getting any real shit. Like that's the truth of it all. You don't know what is honestly what they told you it was, if that makes any sense. Back in the day, I'm going to start it off. So let me tell y'all about how it all started with me. Back in 2010, and understand, you guys, most of my stories are around like the women I dated because in different phases of my life, there was also a different woman because when you grow up, you find a different type of woman more, not necessarily interesting, but more of a reflection of who you are. So I was dating a young woman in high school, and let's just say she was up for the turn up life. Now me, I didn't necessarily care to turn up, but I knew I did like turning up, but I didn't want to look stupid by being a square. I can arguably say that was probably the only time I fell victim of any peer pressure, period, was from her. It was from the woman I was dating. You know, my dad always said he's only three things that will kill every man. It's either going to be drugs, alcohol, or women. And right then and there, he kind of proved to me right then on the spot. Yeah, brother. I'm sorry. I'm seeing this right now, as he's saying. I'm seeing this right on the spot that he was 100% right. Because who's to say if I even had any drug relationship if it wasn't for her? But anyways, so at our school at the time, we had this thing called like standard testing. Anybody school have that? Where they kind of compare how you do or how your entire class does against the state. Did everybody else go through that? Or is that just like a my school thing? Anyways, it was a really poor testing style because you essentially just took it with everybody in your homeroom. And as we all know, homeroom is really just a chill period. You didn't really do anything in your homeroom. So they ended up giving us this test where we're essentially all day long, we sit with our homies, our closest friends, because at my high school, you shared homeroom with the same people you entered school with since middle school. Sometimes my high school is a middle and high school. Now, I came into the school at 8th grade, so I missed the 6th, 7th, but the 8th through 12th grade, I've had I started my morning with the same people. I'm not going to say the teacher's name, but she was a young teacher who really didn't care about the education system at all. She didn't care about any of our growth as students or anything like that, but she was one of like the cool teacher who was bad, you know? So she was young. She was trying to, and I look back on hindsight, she's the age I am. She was probably younger than I am now. Why she had authority over a classroom makes no sense to me, but whatever. So anyways, one of my homies was like, hey, we got to turn up. And I was against it. But then my girlfriend at the time was like, don't be a pussy. Let's go ahead, turn up. And her idea was we're going to just start bringing Smirnoff over to school. If we have to be in homeroom all day for 3 days, let's just take our test real quick, and then we can just go ahead. Everybody can go to the bathroom, take shots. Now, me, the little rebel I am, I was like, man, I ain't trying to take no shots and no Smirnoff or anything like that. I want to take shots. I said, I don't even want to take shots at all. I was into rave music, Benny Benassi, early Daft Punk, Justice, Steve Aoki, Danger, Duke Dumont. Like, these are all like DJs that were in like the prime scene of 2010. The Pursuit of Happiness remix was almost like the soundtrack to my entire life. If you guys know the Pursuit of Happiness, the Project X song, song by Kid Cudi, and I can't remember who did the. I think it's A-Track did the remix. I think A-Track did the remix. Whatever. That's not relevant. Anyways, so David is not here. He is not here. So, anyways, I was like, you know what? If you gonna take your drink, I'm gonna go ahead. I want to try ecstasy. Now, mind you, I really didn't want to try ecstasy, but I just was like, I didn't want to be the sober one between the two of us, because in my mind, she feeling some type. We both be a little zooted. We both be a little zooted. We probably can do a little some. You know, I was really thinking with my dick. To be completely honest with you, I was thinking with my dick. I was like, we're going to be turned up. We're going to take this test, and then after school, we're going to go somewhere. Side note, I ended up getting suspended with that same girlfriend because I got caught on campus fooling around with her. We were dating. Everybody knew we were dating, but that should have been a foreshadow to my future, but whatever. So I ended up taking it, right? I'm taking it, and I decided to start listening to some house music. I never remember the song. The song was called Strobe by Deadmau5. And I remember hearing the song and literally feeling the pulse of the BPM as the song progressed. If you guys don't know anything about house music, it's called trance. Trance music has a really slow build, but as soon as you start to listen to it long enough, it starts to peak. But ironically, because this was my first ecstasy ever, I had no idea that how it slowly starts to take over your body, how it slowly starts to take over from your head all the way down to your feet, to your toes, to your fingertips, but it was progressing at the same rate of the song. Now, to me, I was feeling it, I was liking it because I had control of it, and it was really, at that time, it was dope. It was honestly the greatest experience of my life at that time, but I had to sit there in that homeroom. And I was like, nah, I just can't sit in this homeroom. The whole idea of sitting in a homeroom while rolling was just wild to me. So I got up out the room. Mind you, the teacher didn't even care. She was in the back room watching probably, I don't know, whatever social media was cracking at that time, probably on Facebook, arguing with her boo or whatever. But meanwhile, I just got up and I just left homeroom and just started walking around through campus. But I'm listening to the music, yada, yada, and this is almost like the soundtrack of my first pill ever. And the colors are a little bit more enriched and things like that. But what I did not know, that in that process, you are literally becoming addicted to a drug. So, from ever since that one experience, what I ended up doing, I think almost every week after, for about 10 weeks, it was almost the entire semester, I dropped an ecstasy every single week. And it reached a point to where I couldn't really even manage my emotions the same anymore because my dopamine levels were high. Then they were crash, and I'm like, let me take one to pick it back up. I started getting really close with my dealer because my dealer at the time, he was literally, or my guy, he literally was like a friend of mine at the same time. So I would go to his house, pick up a bunch. And mind you, I'm not the person to buy like one or two at a time. If you know anything about me, if I'm into something, I'm all the way in. So I'm buying like 10 of these red Supermans, blue Dolphins, white Supermans, quad stacks, triple stacks, all of these types of drugs because I just was into it. Now, this takes me back, close the show with, do you like drugs? Oh my gosh, you're a fool. So here's the thing. I'm telling you this long, drawn out story about my first time rolling, for lack of better words. And I promise you, I'm not trying to promote ecstasy by any stretch of the imagination. But what I am trying to say is that at that time, even though I was becoming addicted to it, and that's crazy. I'm wearing one of those like rave bracelets right now. Can y'all even see? Anyways, at the same time, I can at least trust what I was buying from the dealer, from my guy, was actually real. So to go back to the conversation I was having with my student today, I was like, yo, I wouldn't do it because everything y'all buy today is dummy fake. Everything is pressed. Everything has fentanyl in it. Nothing is actually holding sincerity anymore. So honestly, if I were you, if you have to consume something, make sure it's something you can at least pick up from a grocery store. And I know that's arguably the worst advice to give, but if it's the best of the worst, because I've told them, don't go off into some side streets. Don't go off and go to a homie who has a plug. Now, mind you, the school, like I'm saying, the school I teach at, these kids got money. So I don't know really if they are getting quality, but I'm trying to say just play it safe because you don't know what's good. You're not testing anything. You don't know what the next steps of whatever drug you just purchased. So I want to actually raise a question to you guys. I want to talk to y'all for a minute. I kind of gave you my long but lackluster story about me and my first time rolling with ecstasy. How many of y'all done tried some drugs? For real, be honest. Throw a little something in the comment section. Let me know who's ever actually tried some drugs. And drugs classified as something you cannot purchase in a grocery store. You cannot purchase in a grocery store. You know? Yeah, I'm really curious to know. I'm really curious to know if I'm just sitting here just talking to myself right now, or has anybody else kind of been in this? Has anybody else been in this predicament? Anybody else ever tried anything? Honestly speaking, did you do it at a friend's house? Oh, you remember that? Oh shit, Tyler, you're here. Oh my God! Out of all the times to tell this story, oh my God, I wasn't even expecting you to be here. What's up, Boudreaux? That's crazy. That's wild. That is wild. You never know who's watching. I'm really starting to learn that. You really never know. Yes, that was literally, bro, I know you know your, Ray, yeah, Ray, you be wildin', bro. You're done. You're done. You need to retire. Oh my gosh. So right now, beside me, you guys, I kind of like have a list of questions, right? You guys know when I get nervous about what I'm going to talk about in the show, y'all know what I do. I go to ChatGPT and I try to formulate a question that kind of resembles our audience. And in that process, what I do is essentially try to come up with a more interesting show. That's what it all boils down to. And I have a couple questions on this side that I don't know which ones I want to answer, which ones I don't. But before I even hit these questions on this side, be sure if you guys have any questions for me, whether it's about any drug related questions, at the end we're going to leave a section for whatever hard questions you may have. I'm going to leave a section at the end. If I don't get anything, then that's how I'll close the show. But if you guys have any questions about any of my drug stories, let me know right now. Because I want to have the conversation. I really do want to have this conversation. Man. And also, Ray, I still got your hard drive here, bro. Ray, come on, bro. It's right here. I was almost tempted to use it. Man. Listen, I'm going to give y'all a minute because I understand there's a slight delay with this entire operation, this entire show. So I'm aware that sometimes I say things and there's a lag. Also, while I'm sitting here waiting for you guys to type up some questions, because that's essentially what I'm doing right now, I'm buying time because you guys need to talk to your boy. I was rewatching some of the previous episodes, y'all, and I realized I repeat a lot of things. And it's a habit that it's something I've created in order to come up with what I'm going to say next. So moving forward, I want to be more conscious about not repeating things because I think it's important that I keep the continuity of the story without having to loop something in order to make it more interesting. Not unless it's like the highest point of the plot. Then obviously I'm going to loop that. But outside of that, I think I need to shut all that up. We need to shut that up. All right, there we go. All right, look, there we go. We get some questions. All right, so I got a question from Emma. Emma says, what's your favorite drug that you've ever tried? Okay, so to be honest with you, my favorite drug that I've honestly ever tried over the course, I think it would probably be around, it was in college. It was probably a little bit of snow. Blow Bane. Blow Bane. A little bit of Blow Bane. That's what it had to be, because like what I liked about it, and mind you, like what I liked about it and what I disliked about it, I'll tell you the pros and the cons of it. The pros of it are how casual it is. I realize within the groups of circles I realize like Coke is kind of like one of those things that for some reason everyone casually understands you can casually do. It's almost the equivalent of a glass of wine to a group of stay-at-home moms. Maybe a glass of wine and Adderall to a group of stay-at-home moms. But or if you're at a reggae concert, it's kind of like passing a blunt. It's the equivalent to that. But I do like the casual social element of cocaine. I really do think that's kind of interesting. I do also, something else I do like about it is the duration of the high. It's really short. You get in, you get out. It's not a situation where you take one and you don't know how long you're going to be on a trip, you know? The third plus of it, I don't want to sound like I'm going, this is brought to you by cocaine. The third plus of it for me also was it was one of those balancers. So if you ever had too much to drink or something like that, it was a good way to kind of like balance out. The downside to it is obviously is you really do mess up your nostrils. Even when you stop doing it, you find yourself getting this unconscious drip. So even if there's nothing in your nose and you stop, you start sniffling all the time. And it's almost one of the dead giveaways to find out if anybody's doing blow. That's something something I really dislike about it. Second thing I dislike about it is obviously the cost. I think for how much you pay, you're getting almost like pennies on the dollar. Like I see why it's considered like a rich man. It's like a rich man's kind of like drug, literally. So yeah, that's what I can hands down say. I think the third con of it would probably have to be, sometimes if you don't keep it in proper places, it gets wet and you don't want it wet, and that's a mess in itself. But that's any drug, I can really say, to be honest with you. So yeah, that would be that would be probably my favorite. I'm gonna actually hit another question. As someone in this PR, as a PR in this conversation, it makes me feel nervous for you. Okay. Listen, I've learned, honestly, Afe, that when it comes to what I do, I was like, yo, I actually learned this terminology. It's called the law of large numbers. I'm going to pull this up. And the law of large numbers essentially says if you do something long enough, eventually it's going to work, or it's either going to work in your favor. It's going to work in your favor. It's a probability thing. So I want to look back at my entire legacy in just like, I want to say at that time, broadcasting. And I want to be able to say that I've always been honest with my community. Those who really, if you really rock with me, then you really rock with me. If you don't rock with me, then you don't rock with me. I think because of this show and because of this platform, I've made a conscious effort to always like save money, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know what that next step is going to be. You never know when somebody might cut the feet right off of you, or literally, or pull the rug from underneath you. So that's something that I kind of do to allow me to have these types, these types of conversations, because I don't know. I want to have these conversations. Like I said, I'm not trying to endorse it, but I do want to have this discussion. But thank you. I appreciate you, Afe. All right. If you can ban any drug, what would it be? Oh, that's easy. Heroin or meth. I mean, one of those two, heroin or meth. They can get fentanyl. Like today, I'm banning all the drugs. To be completely honest with you, today I'm banning every single drug, because nothing's pure, nothing's real. It's an absolute mess. I can never imagine. I feel bad for kids. The fact that a student felt comfortable to come to a teacher and he said, "Hey, what's the safest one I can do?" That sounds wild. That's a wild question. Disregard the fact that he had to go to a teacher to ask the question, but secondly, he has to ask what the safest one. Bro, if you got to ask what the safest one is, you shouldn't be doing it at all. But whatever, that. So if I were to ban any of them, I would ban all of them. Like it's wild. It's wild. Let me see. Sam Wick, he said, also have I tried commenting on Facebook feed, but there's no reply. Is this where the comment? Yes, Sam. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. I'm trying to, like I said, I'm trying to work on this. I'm trying to get the chat going. I'm trying to have a conversation here. I am building this show as we go, man. Like I just fixed my audio. Literally, that's why I was like 15 minutes late. So Yes, you can comment here, bro. I'm going to get the Facebook chat going. I'm going to get all that going. I appreciate you following on Facebook. Shouts out to YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, everywhere. Also, you had your first role at Laces. I'm telling you, the high school I went to, you guys, was wild. Laces was literally I don't know, like it was almost like a school of middle class. It was a school of middle class because it really wasn't like Harvard Westlake, which was like a rich high school, but it wasn't like LA High, which is kind of almost lower class. Like if you had to pull a sample size of students out of Laces, my old high school, you can literally get anything. There is no telling. You never really knew who really had bread and who really didn't. It's something that I'm grateful. I'm so happy my parents busted their ass to get me into that school. By the way, it's a charter school, so it wasn't even like you had to pay to get there. It wasn't even like a payment plan type of situation. So Laces was really a diamond in the rough. I look back at it, I learned so much. You know what I'm saying? I was fascinated when I realized people casually doing it in bars and having a party. Yes. Yeah. Literally, it's literally, oh, bro, Sam, I already know who you are. Bro, come on, Sam. Come on. What's up, G? I remember who you are. Like I said, I understand. I really don't understand that drugs at all. I hate it. Okay, yeah. Drugs are as a whole are really like a very fascinating conversation. They're very almost taboo, especially when you start thinking about it, the progression of them over time. Like think about it. Back in the 70s, people were really caught on just smoking weed and acid, and that was like the common theme. That was where everybody started and stopped on the craziness scale. But as we started to get older, we started introducing all these new things. The 80s brought coke, the 90s brought ecstasy, and every 10 or 20 years we get a new drug. But I'm really starting to think as we cross the 2020 mark, I'm not saying there's never going to be any more new drugs introduced to the market, but I can say that I think the quality of them are completely on the ground. And mind you, we're talking about drugs here. Like this is not an FDA regulated type of situation. Like, so if I was a kid today, I'm so happy that I got the chance to experience some of these things. Now, the question is, all right, you're a new father, so what are you going to tell your kid when it comes to drugs? Like, this is something I think about all of the time. Now, my wife, zero drugs, zero zero. She don't do none of that. She don't drink. She don't smoke. She don't cuss. I love my wife. However, my son is also me. So I have to be able to have this drug conversation with him and explain to him, I have to drive home the point that authenticity, no matter it's authenticity within somebody's personality or authenticity of buying clothes or authenticity of somebody's character, really, or drugs is really important. So I think as he starts growing into his teenage years, I'm really going to start driving home that narrative of authenticity, being authentic to yourself, being authentic to the things you purchase, being authentic to the people you're around. Authenticity is something I'm going to have to drive home. So it's going to make that transition into drugs a lot easier for me. So he's not learning about it from someone else. You know, I think if I'm able to drive home the point that you don't even know if it's real, I think that's enough for him I'm praying that he won't take the path that I took. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, that's one of those things. There's a documentary about the crack epidemic. I don't feel like people talk about it. There's a documentary about the crack epidemic on Netflix that made me think of Coke so differently. Yeah. So for those who don't know, crack and Coke is essentially the same thing. If you happen to take some cocaine, put it in some baking soda, sit it in some water, you essentially you're freebasing it. You're freebasing some of the purities from cocaine, and you're making them and condensing them, and you're turning them into smaller portions. You're taking the Coke and turning it into smaller portions, and essentially you're selling it. The only difference between Coke and crack is that crack is severely more concentrated. And also crack, I hate to say it, is really just sold to black folks. So during the Ronald Reagan era, what happened was if you were caught with crack, your offenses before going to prison or before going to jail were higher than it was for Coke, because how are you going to put somebody behind bars for the same drug that you're doing? See, politicians, they weren't rocking with crack, only cocaine. So if you had the same amount of weight from both I thought when I found out about that too, Ivy, it kind of opened my mind to a lot of things. I think honestly, when I started learning about that, I found myself being more of a stereotype. So that's another reason I was like, you know what, I'm gonna leave the drugs alone. But mind you, I learned this really late. I learned this dummy late. So I think like my last time, I ain't gonna say, I don't even want to put a date on it because I don't. Maybe around that party. I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna actually go ahead and watch that. I'm gonna go ahead and watch that. Listen, bros, are way worse than any other LA high schools. Yes. Have I ever tried shrooms? Yes. I actually have tried shrooms. Not gonna tell with one of my homies. He is a renowned gentleman today. I'm proud of him for what he grew into. Oh my gosh, we have went through so much together. But to be honest with you, I tried shrooms when I was in LA. It was actually over a winter break. I was living out here, or a summer break, one of those breaks, and I didn't like the taste of them. So what I ended up doing was I made some scrambled eggs, and I cut them up. I cut up green peppers, onions, black pepper, and cut the shroom ups in little bitty pieces. I stirred them all in like this, like, you know, you crack the eggs and you put them in the yolk, and I cooked them over the stove. Oh shoot! I cooked them over the stove, and I literally had scrambled shrooms. It was a wild experience. I look back at it. It was actually at one of my homegirls' houses, and it was the three of us, me, my homie, and my homegirl. And when I realized, I started seeing the ground like warp and everything. I was like, oh, okay, I get it. I see why that 70s show is that way. I see why the art was during that. I see why the art of that era was represented this way. I understood the music a little bit more. I understood Jimi Hendrix a little bit more. I understood Grateful Dead a little bit more. I understood all like the 70s love era so much more. But I really wasn't a big fan of it, only because it was too long. It was too long of an experience. I'm not really a fan. I like to get in, get out, you know, type of situation. Also, what I took, my dosage, I took in a crazy amount. I took like, I think it was like 3 heads, 3 stems. I don't even remember. I just remember being a crazy amount. But yeah, I had scrambled eggs, shroom scrambled eggs. It was a vibe. It was a vibe. Like I said, which I find to be interesting. Have you tried, like, and I was literally about to transition into that, the topic microdosing, right? So microdosing really wasn't a thing back when I was doing shrooms. It was kind of like either we're getting high and we're eating these shrooms or we're not, right? So the idea of blue balling myself into like this like hand job of a high just never really made sense to me. It was like, I don't want to slowly increase my tolerance to feel a light high. I'm like, either I'm gonna take these things. I'm either we gonna go there. We're going all the way there, or we're not, right? So, it's really weird how we've kind of changed the connotation of that phrase. Like I'm saying, microdosing, because understand microdosing, you can essentially microdose anything. If I have a line of blow and I only take the first half of it, what am I, micro snorting? If I'm an alcoholic and I take one shot for every 6 hours or something like that, am I micro sipping? But for some reason, shrooms was the only drug that was actually able to get the micro title, and no one thinks like twice about it. Like, I don't know what that is. Like, I don't know. Like I said, it was really weird for me. I don't know. So I never really got into microdosing per se for that one reason, and for that main reason, because I was like, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. Like, y'all know me. I don't do anything. We can comfortably say I have a lot of addict behaviors, which is why I'm able to come here and talk about this. And like, if I do something, I do it for real. If I'm gonna do a show, I'm gonna get the camera, I'm gonna get the light, I'm gonna get the studio, I'm gonna get the mic, and I'm gonna give all of myself to this camera. If I'm gonna run, I'm gonna run 3-4 miles a day. I'm not gonna miss a day. If I'm gonna read, I'm gonna be a true reader. Whatever the situation may be, whatever I do it all the way. You know, it's one of those things. They even asked Vince Staples in an interview. They're like, "Hey, you don't drink or smoke?" He's like, "Nah, I don't really. I like to stay sober, because if he's like, I question people's commitment to being faded or something. Like, I'm gonna fuck the joke up, but he's like, if you're gonna do something, smoke some crack. You gonna be hella committed to it. But I'll be honest with you guys, I've never smoked crack. Whatever. That's another, like I said, that's another story. And you try, okay, that's cool. And so I tried microdosing as an alternative for Adderall. Okay, like, and that's the thing. Same thing with Adderalls. Like, listen, my first time I ever had Adderall was probably in college. It was, I'm gonna remove names. It was at one of my homegirls' crib. She lived like right down the street from me. And her and I would just kick it, talk mad like when I'm telling y'all mad casual. I would just sit, go to her crib. And I cracked the jokes on the stay-at-home moms with the wine and the Adderalls, but I'm explaining myself. I'm snitching on myself, but literally my first time having Adderall was then. I would just sit there and I never understood how beneficial it was. So I would take some to kind of get some work done, and then I'll take some with some wine, and then I realized you just start bonding with a friend. Nothing physical, no funny business. But yeah, it was like I said, it was cool. I was like kind of like my first time ever having Addies, you know? I gotta tell you about my shroom store. I swear, can't let me talk. All right, yeah, we gonna talk about that. I believe microdosing can be beneficial, but I fear the long term because your brain can fry your brain because I don't know enough to say. Right. Yeah, so that's another one of those things. Like, I don't believe in like kind of doing like I said, a small dosage of anything. If we're gonna do it, I'm gonna like understand. Even when it came to my history, when it comes to like my history with drugs, understand like it wasn't like a situation where it wasn't like I was strung out or anything like that. I was very fortunate to where I realized I got really close to the line and then I'll stop. You guys will even really notice it with me, even with drinking. Sometimes I'll go through the phases where I'm like, I'm not drinking, I'm not smoking. You guys will see it on my Instagram all the time. And I'll go a couple months, maybe 3-4 months, stop drinking because I realized I'll find it that I'm getting really close, scarily close to the line of like not being productive anymore. So once I see that and recognize that, I just stop. I leave it alone and I just go clean. I go sober. I sober up and then I give it some time and then we back at it. You know, I believe that everybody should have some form of a vice, you know, some form of escape. But if the escape begins to overpower you, then I can see how that can become a problem. You know, it's wild. It's wild. You know, so ADHD can completely change everything. It's only a drug that repairs pathways to your brain. And you know, and that's one of those things. Psychedelics grow neurological pathways that are lost during depression. And that's, honestly speaking, it's like, here's the thing. I didn't even really have that many shroom experiences in my life, to be completely honest with you. A lot of my experiences when it comes to psychedelics, it started with shrooms, but I was one of the people who got into acid. You know, like, once again, here it is. If I'm going to do it for real. I don't want to like halfway do it. It's funny, let me tell y'all, my first time ever actually having acid was I was at my house. It was during COVID. And I remember listening to this song by Her and Drum called The Laydown. Let me see if I already had it pulled up. I got to hear it one time. Hold on. I love this song. Come on. And mind you, I'm sitting on my bed, right? And I'm hearing this come in, and mind you, that it's kicking at the same time. And everybody's vocals, everybody's tone was lower. It was slow. And I was literally just sitting in my room, just wanting to experience what this really was. What is this really doing? What's the big hype about it? So, oh shoot, my fault. I forgot, my fault. I didn't forget. Y'all didn't even hear it. Whatever. Hold on. Let me run this back from the top. I'm sorry. This whole time, y'all got to say something. Y'all got to be like, yo, you got to be like, yo, we can't hear nothing. You sitting over here talking, but we can't hear nothing. So anyways, I was saying that the first time I ever had any type of like acid, it was at my house, in my room, and during COVID. I want to know how many other people experimented with something during COVID. Honestly, whether it have been a new boo, drug, something. Who experimented with a vice during COVID? Be honest with me. Can y'all hear it? Can y'all hear it? Let me know. Let me know. Oh my God. Oh my God. Every time I hear, all right, I'm gonna stop because if I play the song too much, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. If I play it too much, Instagram gonna take me down. They don't like it when people start playing music. So I'm gonna take that out real quick. I'm so sorry, TikTok. I'm so sorry. Y'all missed that whole vibe. I'm sorry. But anyways, yeah, I'm gonna go back to what you're saying. Yeah, my voice mod is on. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm still working on this, you guys. I'm trying to get some things all tweaked. You got mad reverb. Check the mics. I think the computer mic is on, or your camera mic. Yeah, I gotta go through this because I'm gonna be honest with you guys. When I'm recording, it I don't hear the feedback, but only you guys hear it. So I'm gonna go through one of my burner pages and start practicing. But anyways, Christian, you have a really good point here. He says, I think psychedelics can change the industry for pharmaceuticals and mental health. 100%. I'm not opposed to them at all. Let me be honest with you. And here's what I'll even offer an adjacent. I even would say that Molly, when it comes to marriage counseling, I think that if two people were to have a little bit of Molly together, honestly, if two only married couples and then have a counselor, I'm really curious to know, to guide them. They had the Molly and a counselor, and to guide them through conversation, I'm really curious to know what the future of marriage counseling would do. I think that when it comes to depression and things of that nature, I think, honestly speaking, I think that psychedelics can really help depression, but not necessarily acid. I think I see it for shrooms. Here we go. I want to see anybody else who's saying 4 ounces. They would say you have 4 ounces of shrooms during COVID. Jeez, my guy. My guy was zooted up in that muff. Listen. So he the only person that did something during COVID. So KR the only person that did something during COVID. Like, let's be honest here. Nobody else did anything. Like, come on, y'all. We supposed to be an open community. We supposed to be having conversations. We supposed to be, that's the vibe we supposed to be on. What's going on with us? Come on now. Come on. But yeah. I'm like I said, I'm a true Molly for a couple runs. For a couples can ruin their sex life. They're going to chase that feeling. It may be, or like I said, that's why I only offer it for married couples. I think that I'm not going to get too graphic with my stories with that, but understand, like, being in rave culture, I can say that some drugs I think some drugs open up your mind to a way of thought, whereas some drugs keep you together with certain people. It's very similar to like why two gentlemen per se, for some reason we don't bat an eye at this, but if gentlemen per se have a cigar and scotch together, when they find themselves on that second glass of scotch and they start having conversation, it starts creating this bond. And mind you, I'm not talking about this like turned up type of bond. I'm talking just like a conversation per se. There's like a casual conversation. I think that it's something about certain drugs that when they release dopamine with other people, they connect you. And that's why, mind you, I've done, like I said, I've done a lot of things under the sun. I've never done heroin. I've never done meth knowingly. I don't think I've ever done it, to be completely honest with you. But I wasn't testing my shit back in the day. So it's only a miracle, a grace of God himself, that I'm here living to tell you these stories. But yeah, my relationship is wow. I'm gonna see y'all talking in this comment section. I like this. Molly can ruin their sex. This mood disorder of people that smoke marijuana, they can develop, that makes them so they can't process lots of emotion. They become uninterested in things and can exaggerate. All right, exaggerate people's I'll be honest with you, Ivy. Maybe I'm reading this too slow. Don't get mad at me. There's a delay, so I could say something. You could be saying something while I'm reading it, then you're typing it back. It's a mess. Can't think of the moment, but who has diagnosed it? Okay, all right. Have you heard about the guy who took hella shrooms and was able to stop his stuttering problems? Oh, see, that it's on the Joe Rogan. You see, and these kind of stories, like, I do think they exist. I do think they're real. I do think, I think they're actually very common. But I just don't have enough research on it. I'm going to do some research afterwards. If I can, I wish I can pull it up fast and then know and get a timestamp, and then we can kind of all watch it together. And I think that's what we're going to do in the moving forward. I got to practice a little bit though. Yeah, weed is strong for day. Yeah. So here's the thing. So back in the day, my mom, okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about drugs and like people's parents. Let's talk about guardians and the drug conversation, right? So I was very fortunate. My mom I was very open about a lot of the things I'd done. When it come to, like, as I call them, designer drugs, such as coke, Molly, ecstasy, all things like that, I never really told my mom about it. But however, when I started like drinking and smoking, I definitely told my mom, and she always wanted to make sure that I was in a safe place, make sure I was at home, make sure that, you know, I'm not going to stop you from doing it because I understand. She is from LA, so she's like, we all had an outside life. It's okay. She just wants to make sure I was safe and make sure I wasn't hindering like any of my future jobs or anything of that nature. So, I was very fortunate. I was blessed to have a black mother out of Los Angeles, California, who I was able to have like open smoking conversations with. Have I ever smoked with my mom? No. What my mom even says it today. She says the weed that we had today really isn't the same. It's like she said back in the day, she's like, y'all's weed is a little bit is too strong. It's almost really turned up. And it makes me wonder what other drugs have also followed that same line. Like, I don't know. And it takes me to fentanyl, which is now as I call it, the Caucasian crack epidemic. It's kind of increased the potency of all the drugs, but also it's literally increased the casualties at the same rate. So I don't know. I'm telling y'all a story about, like I said, about my mom because I'm like I said, I'm beyond grateful. For those who tuned in earlier, she was on the live earlier over the phone. Oh, thank you, G. Thank you for sending it over. I'm gonna go ahead. Let me see. I don't know how I can actually open this because if I open it, it might cancel the live. I have it. It's weird. We're gonna work on that. One day, if you guys follow the Cone Thrift page and you guys see me hopping on live and hopping off, understand that's just me just testing. Yeah, just be patient with me. Okay, I agree. I think it's different. Okay, yeah. It's like. Like I'm saying, man, this conversation I really do like to have. I had to sit down today. I'm a little bit tired. I forgot to do my workout this morning, so I'm about to leave here and go work out. But the only reason I'm comfortable enough to have this conversation because I'm very comfortable who I am. I'm very comfortable in what I've overcome. I'm very comfortable in just my life currently and the future. And also in me in this process of like telling you guys don't do it because you don't know if it's real. It's empowering me to make sure that I stay on my straight, sober, leaving those type of drugs alone. So essentially my sober path. I do videos for a company called Aspire Counseling out here in Bakersfield, California. And essentially it's a lot of people who go through behavior, drug, and alcohol addictions. And I'm able to have these conversations with people and learn their entire story. What was their first time? And mind you, a lot of these people they have reached the line of just they have gone too far. They didn't even hit a line. They went too far. And they'll talk about the times they were strung out, sleeping on outside, becoming homeless, losing their kids. I've literally learned it all, but I've become so casual. We become such good associates that they feel comfortable not only telling me their stories personally, but even we reached a point where they're even comfortable even recording some of them and recording their testimonies. And here I am, I'm able to talk about my testimony, about the things I've overcome. And I realize all in all, I don't think I did all that bad within my growing up and throughout my overall drug experience. That's why I thought it was important for me to share with you, because I want to make sure that I continue this way, but also want to make sure that anybody else who has experimented, I don't want them to feel like shit for doing it. There's no reason to feel like shit for trying something out. Experimenting is all part of the growing process. We experimented with dating types, experimenting with jobs, experimenting with careers, outfits, clothes. You look back at some of my old fits from back in the day, I look wild, you guys, you know? So, I want to see what Ivy said. I really do like your comment. I went to Jamaica last year, like all my family smokes. They say it's different weed than California weed. Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that before. I've heard California tree is like no other tree. So, luckily, I haven't really smoked. I don't want to say luckily or unluckily, whatever. I haven't smoked in any other place. I've only smoked California. So my first time smoking was some Luke Skywalker, as crazy as that sounds. I was heavily influenced by the Wiz Khalifa, Kush, and OJ era. You know, I fall victim of that. Do I ever see myself smoking again? Honestly speaking, I don't. I was really legit asking myself that question the other day, and I was just like, I just don't like feeling tired because I can feel tired by myself. However, I do see myself trying certain edibles, but on such a small amount just to make sure I go to sleep at night. But then I don't want to become a crutch. You see what I'm saying? It's a really slippery slope because I don't do anything for play. So I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. I met 17-year-olds that believe their 90-year-old dude that did DMT and salvia. Yeah. I remember when actually salvia was a thing. I remember when you were actually able to buy that from like stores. It was a wild time in LA. People were picking up salvia with their like Arizonas. It was wild. Salvia was actually really cracking right around when right before the Four Loko became illegal. So understand, I used to go to the 7-Eleven off of Melrose, and it was a couple blocks down from Pink's. And my homie lived on that street. And mind you, my homie, I'm not going to say his name, but like I said, he had the cool mom. Ironically, you can see his house if you watch early Odd Future content of Earl. I think it's called the Earl video. It's the bathroom where Earl's pulling his fingernails off his hand as like the Tyler joke. Anyway, so we used to go to his house all the time because he had more leeway than anybody else. Ain't nobody getting turned up at my house. Everybody knows my dad was the most strict man in the world. My mom was cool, but we wasn't really trying. She had the daycare there. We was doing Running Risco. We always went to his house. We ended up going, and I remember one time we were able to go in there. We weren't old enough to buy a Four Loko, so we had to ask one of the hipster guys. This is back when SBs were cool. We judge people by their shoes. We pay them a couple extra bucks, $5 extra, and we get a Four Lokos or 2 Four Lokos and pick up some salvia right there in the same gas station. Right after that, we go to his house, be zooted out of our mind. He also had a pool, a jacuzzi off of Melrose, and yes, he was black. Before y'all ask me, yes, he was black, but he had the cool mom. Listen. Shouts out. The cool moms honestly have kept the drug business. Every dealer needs to say thank you to the cool moms of every neighborhood, because you need to understand the cool moms is what allows all this to happen. It allows all this to happen because, see, I repeat it. Y'all saw that? You saw that. You see how I say it allows all that to, anyways, I'm sorry. I'm breaking my fourth wall. I'm trying to keep from repeating. The cool moms keep from allow kids to experiment, and that was the cool mom in my instance, in my situation. But anyways, I'm just about wrapping up to today's episode. I've been here for just about an hour. I wasn't even trying to drag this out for an hour. But before we leave, you guys know the game that we play is called Hard Question for Mohammed. I need to get better at answering hard questions, very high intensity questions. So I want the first question that comes up, throw me a question that's very hard, that's very difficult, and I have to give you an answer. An honest answer, a true honest answer. If me having a whole drug conversation isn't enough for honesty, but whatever. I want to know the first question that you guys think I should let go. Whatever you can put through is what I'm guaranteed to answer, no matter what the situation is. And then any other question that follows, I'm going to make sure I'm going to copy it, and then I'm just going to go ahead and take that to the next episode, to be honest with you. I'm still trying to think about what we're going to cover tomorrow. I don't know what we're going to cover for tomorrow's episode. I've been trying to figure that out. We done covered drugs. We done covered conservative views. We done covered so much here. We done covered so much. It's wild. Damn, y'all really know me. Y'all know me better than I know myself. That's crazy. Damn. Let me see. All right, here we go. There we go. My dog Ray. What's one thing that you can get better at what's one thing that I hate it when y'all catch me not being able to read out loud. What's one thing that you think that you think you can get better at as a dad? All right, Christian, I'm gonna go ahead and save your question, bro, because you came in second, but I love you. Damn, top 3 cars of all time. Oh, y'all coming with the question. All right, listen. Can I answer all of them? This is fun. I'm happy to know at least y'all are here with me. I'm happy to know that you guys are communicating with me. I'm loving these questions. Listen, I can't. I'm just going to do, you know what? We're going to do these questions. I'm going to do the first question, and then we're going to start tomorrow's episode with all these. So you guys make sure you tune in with me tomorrow around 6:30. I'm trying to be on time. I'm working on it. But I'm going to go back to we're going to start tomorrow's episode with all these questions right after we do 1 to 10. But anyways, what's one thing you think you can get better at as being as a dad? To be honest with you, I think I'm killing it in the dad game right now. If there's one thing I think I'm killing it in, listen, I wake up, I'm changing diapers. I take bro with me whenever I can. He closed his first deal, you guys. I took him to go get some content for a company out here. To be honest with you, I think I don't want to toot my own horn too much. I think I can probably read to him. I need to do better at probably reading out loud to him. I need to work on that. I think that way we can bond, even though he doesn't really speak, obviously he doesn't speak English. I think it's important that I not only just read like ABC 1, 2, 3 books. I want to start reading like high level philosophy books, and I want to start reading them out loud to him. And I think at some point in life, maybe it will click with him. I want him to understand the philosophy or just the process of thought itself, not understand just having a thought, but why you had that thought. It's kind of like the cognitive thinking process. I don't know. I don't know. So that's something I could work on. I can honestly work on reading out loud to my son right now at an early age and continue to do it. Don't just do it. Hey, y'all, I did it one time and be done. Like, nah, I'm going to continuously do it. But to be honest with you, Ray, the question really should have been, what's one thing you think you can be better at being a husband? That is the real question. And I am going to save that because you know what? That wasn't the question that was asked today. That was not the question that was asked today. But anyways, that's all I really have for you guys today. Thank you so much. Oh, shoot. Thank you so much for tuning in with me. I appreciate you. I love you guys. This is honestly my therapy. My dream one day I'm going to like have a therapist on here, and then we can sit back on that couch back there and we can talk. I can literally probably record my therapy sessions. I don't know. But this has never felt so good. I walk home feeling relieved, like mentally relieved after this. The hardest part about this is honestly like the work, like actually turning it into a show and everything. But that's here nor there. Make sure you guys send me questions, send me anything. I want you guys to stay happy, stay optimistic, and I'll see you back again tomorrow, back for another episode of the Mohammed Cook Show.